chase, and no matter what, I'm living. Put that on everything. I got a dream to chase, and no matter what, I'm living.
The meeting has officially begun. I'd like to start the meeting by having Rotarian Carl Eric Opot to lead us with the Rotary Grace. Opot. Okay, so I don't think I can reach him. Sami Malaki, are you able to help him?
Yes, Mr. President.
Thank you so much.
Let's, for the Rotary Grace, O Lord and giver of all good, we thank thee for our daily food. May Rotary friends and Rotary ways help us to serve thee all our days. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. And now I'd like to give a toast. If you have a glass, charge it. If you don't, hand over heart. And this toast, a toast to the President of the Republic of Kenya. So now it's time for the forward test, and this will be led by Rotarian Elsie Karaoke. Elsie, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. You can join me in reciting our forward test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you so much, Elsie. And now I'd like to give this opportunity for visiting Rotarians and visiting Rotaractors to introduce themselves, if there are any on the group. Are there any guest who has joined us today? Just say your name and what you do, and we'll appreciate that. I can see Cynthia.
Hi, my name is Cynthia. I'm a guest. I'm a doctor.
Dr. Karibu sana, Cynthia.
Asante.
I see James Mumbo.
Hi, Wilson. My name is James Mumbo. I'm an investment associate with Kiva. Glad to be here. And I'm a guest.
Thanks. You're a guest. Thank you so much for coming. I see, I hope I say this right. Givons or Givons, let me just say that. I hope I said it right. Sorry.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jivon Soy. I'm in project management.
Karibu sana, you're a guest?
Yeah, I'm a guest here.
Thank you so much for coming. I see Mercy Vela. Okay, maybe later on. There is Michael Malombo.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael. I'm a fifth-year medical student, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. And lastly, I see Victor Kenneth.
Hello, everyone. I'm Victor Kenneth. I'm a Rotaractor from the Rotaract Club of UNAFIA. I'm a fourth-year medical student, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. We love guests on Madaraka. Our last guest is Noreen. Noreen is not a guest anymore. I'd like to. She's next to being a member. So thank you so much, Noreen, for coming through again. So I hope I have not left out anyone who is a guest. Yeah. But anyway, thank you so much. We'll now move on to announcements, and I will start off with Rotarian Victor Muto. Muto, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. My name is Muto, Club Admin Director. So I'm here to announce about our installation that will be on the 28th month. The venue is Brazilian Rodizio or Edu's Bar. It's off Mbazi Avenue in Lavington. Charges per person is 2,500 and we will start at 11 a.m. So payment will be to our M-Pesa account. I think I'll be sharing the poster on email tonight. So payment will be to this account. Then I hope to see you all of you on that day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rotarian Muto. So once again, welcome everyone to our installation for the road for incoming president and board. It'll be on the 20th of August. So save the date. We'd love to see all of you there in attendance. Next, I will go to Rotarian Lydia Ndirango, our projects director.
Thanks, President Wilson. Good evening, everyone. We have a short announcement with regard to a project that we hope to start very soon. It deals with persons with disabilities. We want to support an NGO, a small NGO that assists people who are living with disabilities. In specific, they run projects in Kajiado, Mathare, and Kawangware. And they are looking to buy some equipment that will assist them in their therapy projects. These are things like massagers, therapy balls, standing aids, hospital mattresses, massage oil, and other items. So there's a list of about 7 or 8 items. They cost around 109,000. That's their budget. So from our discussions, we had proposed that we help them raise 50,000, which we're going to donate in kind and purchase some of these items, the ones which are within our budget range. Yes, so we are seeking your support. If you could assist us to raise this cash, Rotarian Muto will be coming up with a poster very soon, so it will be easy for circulation to other Rotarians and family and friends of Rotary. Yes, that's the announcement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lydia. Sorry, there's a bit of echo, but Lydia, for that announcement. And finally, let me just close this announcement on saying that for the Rotarians in the house of Madaraka, please remember to pay your annual subscriptions. It's that time of the year. We need to pay our dues to the Rotary International, which are due this month. So we want all of us to have paid up before then. So please make sure you do your payments in early enough. Thank you so much. I'd like to open the floor for any announcements by any visiting Rotarian or Rotaractor. If there's any announcement. So I see Sami Malaki has a hand up. Sami? Sami, your hand is up?
Sorry, that was accidental, sorry.
It's okay. Okay, thanks. So let's close that at that point. If you have an announcement, you can make it during our SAA time. So right now, I'll go to introduction of our guest speaker, and I'll invite IPP Samuel Malakai to give the introduction. Sami, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll introduce the guest speaker, and then we will now lament. Or shall I lament first? At the $1, okay. Rita is our guest speaker this evening is Rita Hicks.
Rina.
Sorry, Rina Hicks. Rina is a corporate finance specialist. She's a director of Faida Investment Bank. and is a certified investment and financial analyst by ICIFA, as well as an authorized representative under the GEMS market segment of Nairobi Securities Exchange. Rina holds an MBA from Strathmore Business School and a Bachelor's in Business Degree, majoring in Finance and Marketing from Edith Cowan University in Perth, Australia. Over the last 17 years, she has increasingly become a recognized voice in financial literacy and investor education. Her desire is to see a financial sector that will promote a high level of savings to finance Kenya's overall investment needs. Rina's mission is to demystify investing, savings, and financial planning. Her desire is to propel Africans to greater heights in the management of their finances, creating nations of financial secure family. She does this through the platform MWise with MoneyWise with Rina Hicks. There are links there on YouTube and Facebook. She is the author of the book MoneyWise, Create, Grow, and Preserve Wealth 2016. She is also the founder of RH Group Limited, a firm involved in investment consultancy, coaching, and training, and is a certified professional coach and a member of ICIF. Through her professional training session, Rina has worked with individuals, groups, and corporates, and has trained over 1,500 people. Rotarian guests, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Rina. Rina, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Wilson. And I think that was Sammy. Thank you so much, President Wilson and Sammy. It's a pleasure to be here. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, Rotarians, those who are Rotaracts. I don't know how you refer to them, but it's an honor to be here. So I will start my presentation. I hope my internet is going to hold up okay. I think one of the things that this season has brought with it is a lot of requests from many firms that are looking to let go of their staff to carry out wellness programs. Now, unfortunately, they're carrying out these wellness programs at a time when, you know, they've already made a decision that they're going to let go of the staff. And so the staff don't have much time to sort of plan their finances. And what has happened is that I've realized through these sessions that I've been having with several organizations, that a lot of staff have sort of, you know, been spending money, others are in debt. Some have no savings because, you know, there's that comfort of have a salary at the end of the month. And I want to take some time to just discuss one matter today, and that matter is building reserves. I know it's a subject that we all know, but for some reason, you know, we kind of don't quite do it as well as we should. How much time do I have, Wilson?
You have about 20 minutes?
About 20 minutes, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. So again, you know, you've been introduced to me. I want to just highlight the realities that we all know very well. There's a health crisis, which has resulted in an economic crisis. Significant, you know, number of job losses. A lot of companies have shut down. And, you know, there's just generally a lot of uncertainties. And right now with the rising cases of COVID again, this new variant of the virus is quite scary. Now, you know, we're looking at a situation where there is some sort of recovery, but we can't feel it ourselves because the recovery is mainly from government expenditure and not really seeing a lot of businesses do well. So there's some who are doing well, but the majority are not. And so then what does that then mean for us? You know, it means that we need to find ways to then conserve and find ways to use what we can well. But even in that sort of scary situation, there's a quote I'd like to share with you guys. And the quote says that every adversity, it was by Napoleon Hill, every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Now, this quote, when I first read it, I was like, no, what does that mean? It's such a hard season. I mean, we constantly have people who we know who are unwell. I have 3 people who are currently in hospital at the moment, and it's very tough, and so with this cloud of gray upon us continually, how can there really truly be any benefit? But the truth is that every adversity brings with it a seed of an equal or greater benefit. The question is, what do we do with that seed? What do we do with it? Do we nurture it and see how do we grow this thing as an opportunity for us to take advantage of? And that seed can be the ability to create deeper, meaningful relationships with significant others. That seed could be the opportunity to learn, to acquire new skills. It could be that your business failed. That seed could be new networks or the ability to launch into something that you would never have dreamed of doing. But this fact that you've lost this business has given you an opportunity to possibly even tap into talents and skills that you've had sort of subsided and hidden that you can now take advantage of. So I think at the end of the day, what I'd like us to do is come out of this season having identified something that we can do that is a seed that is an actual benefit. There's a beautiful something that comes from this pain that we're going through. Now, the story I'm going to share is a story of a friend of mine. That's not him. It's just a picture I picked out of the internet, but it sort of just gives you a picture. I mean, he's 40 years old. We'll call him Alex. And Alex and I like to run. And one Sunday morning, we were going for a run. And I asked him a few questions about a very challenging season he had gone through. You see, he's a primary breadwinner in his family. He has 4 kids, and his wife is a stay-home mom who homeschools the kids. And he was in a very challenging situation because his contract was terminated where he was working. And he thought, okay, it's been terminated and I'll get a job soon because he's highly qualified. But it took a whole 14 months, a year and 2 months for him to be able to get work. Now, this situation was very tough for this family. And, he came from a very well, paid job to nothing. And there are a few lessons that he shared with me. And I thought, wow, I mean, having gone through something like that, there are definitely many things that you can learn from someone who has gone through a painful season like that and come out of it. So he now is working and, sort of trying to build their asset base back because obviously they had to sell, use up savings and things like that as we're trying to finance their upkeep. And so I want to spend the next few minutes sort of just taking you through some of those lessons. So what are the practical things that we can begin to implement so that we are able to build those reserves that result in financial resilience? Now, the first thing is tracking your expenses. What's been surprising is a lot of the people I've had conversations with have no idea where their money is going. And it's so fascinating. I remember speaking to this one person who said to me, she earns, I think about, I can't remember the exact number, but something around 200,000 a month, and only has 30,000 saved, and is in her 50s. And for me, I'm like, okay, how did we get here? What are your expenses? And the point was that she has no idea what she spends her money on. When she thinks about it, her expenses should be about 70K. So the question is, where is the money going? And when we did the sort of tracking, she found that she's giving away a lot. Mother has called, sister, brother, cousin, there's a harambe in the office, someone else is in hospital. And so you find the giving is so much that she doesn't end up saving anything for herself. It's not that she's overspending and has a room full of shoes. It's that she's giving and there's needs around her. But the question then is, how can we give a bit responsibly so that we're also not jeopardizing our financial future? Question is, where's your money going? Do you know where your money is going? Because if you know, then you'll be able to have better control of your finances and you eliminate wasteful habits. And in addition to that, if you want to save, you will know exactly where you need to cut out. Because a lot of times you're like, yeah, I'm going to set up a budget. Like you set up a budget from the start. You say, okay, I think food is about this much and this other thing is about the other amount. But the truth is we don't know. And until we actually know what that number is, then we will not be able to do a good job of it. Second thing I learned from Alex that in terms of what he did was truly the future is unknown. We might feel comfortable in our business right now, we might feel comfortable because we have a high-paying job or consistent, or even a permanent and pensionable contract. But fact is, the future is unknown. And I remember an older gentleman sharing with me, he's retired, and he said, the problem with you young people, he said to me, is that you live like you're going to be employed forever. You need to live as though you only have 6 months to work in your current position, because you will make very different decisions with your money. How can you live in a house that costs you 85, 90,000 shillings every month, he asked me. How can you do that? Like, it doesn't even make sense. How are you ever going to be able to afford all these different things? Anyway, so it was a very interesting conversation I have with him. And he said, find ways to just save, find ways to cut non-essential expenses. And truly, because the future is unknown, we have to build cash reserves. For what? For emergencies and for opportunities. We have to ensure that we have at least 6 months of our monthly expenses saved somewhere, so that should we lose work, business doesn't work out, an emergency happens, there's an illness, there's something that comes up that is unexpected, we're not having to sell assets, go and take credit that is very expensive in order to be able to afford to pay for those emergency situations. And then also in a season of crisis, opportunities arise. So how will we be able to take advantage of these opportunities that arise if we haven't built those reserves and have money available for opportunities? So thirdly, the third thing is you can't rely on one source of income. You have to find ways to earn more. And how? Even if you're working right now and you're comfortable, explore ways to earn more, either in the place of work where you are, by investing in yourself, enhancing your skills and improving yourself, so that then you're able to earn more within that place of work. Or alternatively, you can develop yourself in such a way that you can generate a higher income elsewhere, or an additional income by doing something else. But we can't be comfortable where we are, not anymore. We have to find ways to diversify our income sources. And the truth is that free resources exist. Whether you're thinking about Coursera or edX or some of these other, courses online that are offered by very top-notch universities, Ivy League universities in the US and elsewhere, we can find ways to earn more. Fourthly, we have to get rid of expensive debt. And expensive debt that is used especially for consumables, buying things that we consume. So holidays, weddings, borrowing to give to somebody else who's in need, borrowing to buy shoes and borrowing to finance our lifestyles. That has to stop, particularly using things like credit cards. Some of us don't know, but a credit card loan, when not paid, actually ends up being 45% per annum. A mobile loan can end up being 135% per annum. Shylock between 60% to 120% per annum. And the truth is that a lot of people within the middle class are actually experiencing an increase in the borrowing of these particular expensive debt. I was speaking to some bankers, and the HR department told me how, yes, we're bankers, and yes, we can get loans at 6%, but believe it or not, we have problems with Shylocks coming to our banking hall, asking for us to pay them, and complaining about how these guys are borrowing, yet these are bankers. So we have to get rid of expensive debt before we even think about investing, because there's no investment opportunity that's going to guarantee this kind of return within 1 year. It's not possible. So get rid of the debt. That's an investment in and of itself. And then now you can start investing. And then lastly, which is number 5, is we have to invest continually. And we, in a season of crisis, we have to find ways to invest in low risk assets. What are those? Opportunities that, you're not risking too much money. You're trying to find opportunities that are secure so that you protect your principal until your safety net is in place. And safety net is basically that emergency fund I mentioned, making sure you have insurance, maybe health insurance, if, needs to be covered, pay towards your pension or save towards retirement. That's your safety net. And once that's in place, then you can now start taking risks. Understand your goals. Goals are the cornerstone, really, truly, of the decisions you make where investing is concerned. They will inform the investments that you're making. If you don't know what you want to be able to achieve, then it's going to be difficult for you to even make investment decisions. You make investment decisions based on what everybody else is doing. Oh, there's land in I don't know where, and there's this house and there's this other opportunity, there's this, you know, crowd one, and I hear all these different kinds of opportunities that people put their money in, not taking time to think through, okay, so how does this fit into what I actually want to be able to achieve? Have I funded my ability to afford to send my children to school? What's my plan where that's concerned? What about the holidays that I want to go for every year? How is that funded? I want to be able to get married soon. Where's the money coming from that? And so where should I put my money? So we have to invest based on first understanding our goals. And then also, one of the things also Alex mentioned to me, my friend I was telling you about earlier, is that one of the things he really struggled with was that he had assets, but he couldn't sell them. And he tells me that even today, in fact, this situation that happened to him happened in 2018. And he says, even till today, he's not been able to sell those assets. And some of those assets are land. So he had money, he's bought land, but he can't sell the land. And so the money that he was hoping to get out of it to meet his emergency could not happen. And so we have to invest also in liquid assets. Liquid means you can buy easily and you can also sell easily when you want to. So in uncertain times, I want to just cover two different asset classes that you can consider. One is cash and cash-like assets, and the other is fixed income investments. There's many asset classes. Actually, there are 5 main asset classes, and asset classes are just the way that financial experts sort of classify the different investment options, just for convenience of this is how they're regulated, these are the terms, these are how they are formed. So there are 5, and the first is cash and cash-like assets. There's fixed income investments. We have equities or shares or stocks. We have real estate. And then lastly, we have alternative investments. And now alternative investments covers everything that's not real estate or equities or fixed income or cash and cash-like assets. So things like derivatives trading, managed futures, things like cryptocurrency investing, art collection, all those different fancy things, hedge funds, private equity, all of that sort of falls within alternative investments. But for today's purposes, I just want to cover this. We don't have the time to go into all the others. But before I go into them, I want to just share a quick story, because sometimes you hear of stories of, yeah, I know I need to do this, but I mean, how can I do it? This is Ashley. Ashley was one of our customers, one of the products that we have. It's an online program. And Ashley had a goal, and she wanted to raise $1 million shillings for a specific goal that she had. And this is just, text messages where she's saying, oh my gosh, I made it, right? So how did Ashley do it within the time period she wanted? She broke down her goals into specific targets, which is an important thing for us to do. What do you want to be able to achieve? So she wrote down, I want to buy land, and this is the amount. She also wanted to travel, and she wrote how much it cost. And the total cost was 1 million shillings. Now she wanted to do it within a year. So she then next kept her expenses low. But before she kept her expenses low, she had to track her expenses to see, what am I spending every month? And to her shock and horror, she's spending 9,000 shillings on subscriptions per month. Yeah. Those subscriptions initially are just 800 bob, 900 bob, 1,000 bob. And it's 2 different things. You have your iTunes, you have your Netflix, you have your Showmax. There's different, she's a journalist. So there's different places she had found subscriptions to be able to read certain articles. There's certain training programs you subscribe to monthly, of course, it came to 9,000 shillings. So she realized some of those she was not even using. And so she was able to cut out those subscriptions and left only what she needed and other expenses that she could cut out. And then she found a way to earn more. Being a writer, she was able to get onto some of these online freelancing websites like Fiverr, where you can sign up and be able to write. And there's many freelancing jobs. These days we're in largely a gig economy, and you can get all kinds of jobs online. So she found a job online that was able to give her a few side gigs. The one consistent, as she said, that they added to her savings. And so every single month she saved, but she didn't leave it to chance. She actually automated her savings. How? She set up a standing order and had her bank send her money to a money market fund every single month. Before she could touch her money, her salary or income comes in, and on a specific date, the money goes out. And so before she even has ability to access it, there was a standing order that was sweeping the money out into a money market fund. And in 1 year, she was able to save her 1 million. So it's very possible for us to do that. So I will just share one cash and cash like. So cash and cash like assets are bank accounts where you have a savings account, a fixed deposit account, and a money market fund. The reason they're cash and cash like is because if you need the money, you can withdraw within a week. You're able to get your money out. So a lot of times we find that a lot of people put their money in banks, which is not a bad idea. We must use bank accounts. We can't do without bank accounts. But the thing about it is that we can only save money in the bank account and money that we need in the near future. The reason is the rates that they give us are very low. So if you're having a savings account, you're probably earning 2-3%, especially if you haven't negotiated with your bank. The problem with that is that inflation is in Kenya currently is about 6.3%. So if you're earning 3% and inflation is 6.3%, really you're losing money from a purchasing power perspective. So ideally, you want to be able to earn at least 6-7% on the money that you have put aside. And the only place you can earn that is a fixed deposit account, but really not really, because I think the highest I've seen is 6%. Unless you have huge amounts of money, then you can negotiate to get higher rates. And if there's a banker on the call, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And then we have money market funds. So money market funds give great interest rates, 8 to 9.5. There's some that give 10%, but the average range is about 9 to 9.5%, which is actually. And then the money compounds monthly. It's not a simple interest like you would get if you save in a fixed deposit account. Simple interest means, if you're saving for 1 year in a fixed deposit account, you earn 10% for that period. For example, if you save 100,000 shillings, you will get 10,000 more. But if you save the same in a money market fund, it compounds monthly. And so your interest that is earned in that month is added to your principal, and the next month your interest is calculated on both interest and principal. Now, the beauty about money market funds is that you're not fixing your money as you would in a fixed deposit account. It's accessible at any point in time. If you invest your money a month later, a month and a half later, you want to withdraw just a portion, you can do that without taking a hit on the interest. So it's easily accessible. Once you send an email to whichever the fund is, within 3 days, you have your money in your account. And there are no sign-up fees and no entry fees. There's no lock-in periods. And the only fee really is the withholding tax. Although there is a fee, there's a management fee, but the rate of 8 to 9.5% is usually net of management fees. So the question then you need to ask before you go into these funds is, what is the minimum investment amount that I need to have? Some are 5,000, some are more, some are less. So what is it? And what are the fees? Are the fees 1%, 2%, 3%? And what is the rate I'm getting? Now, with the interest rate, it's not just go for the highest interest rate. You have to be careful, because usually the higher the interest you earn on an investment, most likely the higher the risk you're taking. And then also, you don't want to go for just the ones that are safe, that are giving you low returns. You want to be able to maximize your returns, but manage your risk. The other question is, how long has the provider been around? You don't want to go with people who've been around for just 2-3 years. You want a solid business that has a good, strong balance sheet. Because if something does not work out with the investments where they put their money, then they can actually tap into other resources to pay you back. So what money market funds do is they pool money together from different investors, retail investors, institutional investors, pension funds, high net worth investors. They pool the money together and then invest the money in largely 3 areas. They'll invest with banks and deposit money with banks. They'll invest the money in treasury bills, usually. Some may do bonds because they can trade, but largely treasury bills, as well as commercial paper with companies. Now, commercial paper are investments, or rather, let me say they are instruments that companies use to raise capital for short periods of time, usually to finance working capital. So let's say a company like EABL needs to raise 500 million shillings for a period of 3 months to do something. So it will raise money from some of these funds to be able to do the things that they need to do. So they normally lend to companies that are well-run, have good cash flows, and will be able to repay. So these are some of the things you need to ask, how easy is it for me to withdraw my money? How do you cater for my personal preferences, like being able to access my accounts online or using a mobile app? So some of these things, when you talk to the money market funds, you'll be able to decide then, okay, these are the ones that I think I want to go ahead and invest in. So this is the last one I want to just talk about, and they're called fixed income investments. For a long time, people have thought, oh, how boring are these things are. They're so boring. They're for my guka or my grandma. Us guys don't invest in these sorts of things, but they offer very interesting opportunities. And so what they are is the investments that pays. So you lend your money to either a company or the government, and then the government pays you back that money after a period of time with interest. So interest is typically paid periodically until maturity, or you can pay at a discount and receive your full money, including interest, at the end of the period. So there's the two main ones I want to talk about, and there's treasury bills and treasury bonds. So treasury bills are sold at a discount. What that means is if I invest 100,000 shillings, or rather I want to invest or earn 100,000 shillings, I would pay less the interest amount. So if for 1 year the interest is 10%, I would invest 90,000 shillings, and at the end of the year, I'll receive 100,000 shillings, just as an example. So you choose the amount you want to invest. The minimum investment amount is 100,000 shillings for treasury bills, and they have 3 different tenors. There's 3 months, which is 91 days. They also have 6 months. They call it 192 days, and then 1 year, which is 364 days. And so that's really treasury bills. They're issued by the government of Kenya. Then the others are treasury bonds. So treasury bonds, interest payments are done every 6 months. They're long term. So they're 2 years all the way to 30 years. They're issued every month, whereas treasury bills are issued weekly. Every month, the government is raising money through treasury bonds. The minimum investment for bonds is 50,000 shillings. And so the other bonds that are available are called infrastructure bonds. They're exactly the same, except that the government raises this money not to finance the budget, but to finance infrastructure projects specifically. So the reason they are different is the fact that they are tax-free, and the government gives the tax-free status as an incentive to attract investors. So that's the difference between the two. The rates they give vary. The last infrastructure bond, for example, that was issued by the government was issued in April, and the rate was 12.67% per annum, tax-free. So, it's a good return that you would earn. If you invest $1 million, you get 126,000, every year, and you can reinvest that money. In fact, it's advisable to reinvest that money so that then you're able to compound your interest. Okay, so in order to invest, and I think this is my last slide, I think my time is up, but in order to invest, you would open an account with the central bank, or you can open an account with your bank. Just check that what the fees are so that you're not paying too much for that. And then decide what you want to invest. Is it in T-bills or in treasury bonds, and for how long? So you need to be ready, because every month is a surprise. The government says, okay, this month we're raising 11 years. This month we're reopening the 5-year. So it's usually a surprise. You kind of need to be ready. And we don't even know when the next infrastructure bond will be issued. So, as I said, have cash available for opportunities. Open this account so that when the opportunity does arise and you like the bond that is issued, then you're able to then go ahead and get it. And then we have application forms that are available that you can then apply. But when you open an account with Central Bank, then you sign up for something they call Treasury Mobile Direct, and you can actually apply for the Treasury bond on your mobile phone. And then you go ahead and pay once the auction takes place, and Central Bank will send you a message letting you know how much you then need to pay at the end of the day. So allow me to stop there. But for those of you who may be interested, as was said earlier, I do have a YouTube channel with over 400 videos on all things money, investing, saving, entrepreneurship, and I have done many interviews. I have videos I've done myself. Free of charge is right there. We have a book. That's what it is. Moneywise, Create, Grow, and Preserve Wealth. It's available on Jumia, Raffle Books, Nuria, Textbook Center, Amazon, on Kindle. And for those of you who may be interested to just know, how do I invest? Where do I even start when I'm thinking about investing? What's the process that I would go through? We have a program that we launched earlier this year, and we're launching the second cohort on the 26th of this month, 26th of August. And I'd encourage you to consider taking this program because it's very, very helpful. And at the end of the day, you end up creating an investment plan that's aligned to your goals and your values. And it's called Investable. And you can write to us and we can give you more information on that, as well as if you have any other questions, we're happy to answer. Thank you. Back to you, Wilson.
Thank you so much, Rina. Wow. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for that insightful talk. I really, really appreciate it. I'll take the floor for questions to Rina. If you have a question, please raise your hand, or if you would like, you can just put it on the chat, then we can ask her. There's some questions on the chat that I'd like to pose to Rina. Here, number one, Noreen asks, what would you recommend as an ideal ratio for liquid and versus illiquid assets? And then number two, she asks, also, might you have a guide for expenses such as rent, entertainment, etc.? Which one car error towards, I don't know, which one can one error towards so as to have a financially sound budget? Can error, sorry, yeah. Then someone asks for you to post for them the link to your YouTube channel so that they can look it up. And then lastly, somebody would like to reach you personally. I don't know how that would be possible, but you can maybe advise. Just take those ones for now.
Let me take those ones first. Yeah. Let me take those ones first. So liquid versus illiquid assets. So this is what happens. You have to understand what your needs are on a sort of a monthly basis. Let me just stop sharing for a second. You need to sort of understand what your needs are in order for you to decide what do I need to do with my money, and how do I need to save it so that I have access to it. So different people will have different ratios based on the needs. So for example, I have 3 kids. All 3 kids are in school. So in my situation, there is food, there is, my expenses are huge given the fact I'm not single, right? And then, so my monthly expenses are high. I have to have money for emergencies. There's insurance I have to think about. There's this, because of those needs, when I understand what those needs are, I have to keep money that is based on my circumstances. So I can't sort of give a ratio in terms of how much should you have in liquid assets versus illiquid. But generally what happens is you need to be able to, your assets needs to do these 3 things. 1, your assets must cover your basic needs constantly, whether you lose your job, whether your business crumbles, whether you're disrupted, whatever happens, you need to make sure that your business covers your basic needs. What are those basic needs? Your housing needs, food, water, Kenya Power. Yeah, I remember when I was in my early 20s, one of our neighbors, big house, very successful family. We came back home, I remember, from university, and this family, the dad had lost his job. It was so bad that he decided he's going to go to America to look for work, at least to help his family. The family that was left behind was so broke, they couldn't even pay power. They were in darkness. So their basic needs were not even met. We don't want to get to that. We need to make sure that our basic needs are always covered irrespective of what happens. So the amount that is required for those basic needs to be in liquid assets, but earning a good interest rate. So what that looks like is at least 12 months of your income, of your expenses, needs to be in liquid assets that are not risky. Then the second thing our assets must do for us is help us to sustain our current standard of living for the foreseeable future. The thing you don't want to happen is to start a standard of living that you can't maintain. So whatever it is that you're doing now, whether it's, you go to the spa once in 3 months or once a month, you travel to the village to see your family or your shags or your grandfather every single year with your family, you want to be able to do that. There's certain things we do that help us feel, life is worth living. Those things, you want to be able to continue to do them. So you invest in things that will grow alongside you to be able to do those things. And so even those ones need to be liquid to some extent, in the sense that you want to be able to access cash. Cash flow is everything. So what are those examples? Like real estate investments where they are, cash producing, like rentals, for example, investing in a treasury bond, investing in equities that give you dividends, investing in a business, your own business or somebody else's business gives you that ability to receive cash flows. But the last thing your assets must do, which is the third thing, is give you an opportunity to create wealth, right? Because you want to do some of the things you dream about being able to do. So that will require you to take a bit more risk. Now that's where illiquidity may be an issue, and which is okay, because you're not looking to cash out now, you're looking to make 3 times your investment, double your money. And how do you then do that? Investing in business, investing in other people's business, investing in cryptocurrency. Those are some of the other things you can invest in to give you that growth. It's money that you can, if you lost, you will not crash because you still have money for your basic needs and you have money available for these other things that you like to do all the time. I hope that answers that first question. In terms of ratio of expenditure, I usually struggle with this, but generally, the rule of thumb is housing needs should not take more than 30% of your what do you call it? Of your expenses, of your income. I'm sorry. Housing needs should not take more than 30% of your income. If it is, then you are living too large. So you need to scale down. So they say 30 to 35%. Beyond that is a bad idea. In terms of other things like entertainment and food and transportation and all those different things, we are so different. Okay, so some of us want to have gourmet meals, but I don't care where I sleep, right? I want a chef to cook for me every night and I can live in wherever. Someone else is like, by the way, my house needs to be done by an interior designer. I have to live in a house that looks like the movies, but I don't care what I eat. So I can't prescribe that. It's just to make sure as long as you're saving. Question is, how much are you putting aside? So you can first put aside money, whatever you want to do the rest, those are your details. Of course, there's wisdom in being able to ensure that all the different needs are catered for, so that then you're not spending too much on one thing, like, spending so much on eating out that you don't have money for school fees. There needs to be wisdom in how you then allocate that. But it's important to first save. How much is that? Ideally, you want to put aside at least 20% of your income. Depending on how old you are and how much you've saved so far, it will vary. But if you're over 40, you need to be investing at least 30% of your income to be able to retire comfortably. So the rest in terms of what you use, I wouldn't prescribe, other than housing costs. Some people tend to use too much money. Yeah. So there was another question, Wilson. Please remind me what it was.
So I think on the chat, if you could post the link to your YouTube channel, that would be very, very helpful. Then last, somebody had asked, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody had asked where they could get in touch with you. So I don't know.
So
how
I had my, yeah, okay. So let me just share that screen again. If you just send an email there, that phone number is ours. Oops, I have shared the wrong thing. How do I get out of that? Oh, there we go. So 011-244-0122, in case you're using a device where you can't see the screen. The number again is 011-244-0122. The email is sema@moneywise.co.ke. We also have a website, moneywise.co.ke. In terms of YouTube, if you just search Moneywise with Rina Hicks, you'll be able to find the YouTube channel.
Okay, so there are a couple of questions here, so let me read them out. So James asks, is a money market fund a great place for an emergency fund? And could you kindly recommend a money market fund? And then here from Innocent, he asks, how do you know when bonds are announced? How do they make the announcements?
Okay, let me take those two first.
Okay, that's fine.
So the first one is on money market funds. The money market funds are a great place to save money for emergencies. It's a great place. Don't put money in your savings account for emergencies because you're losing out on the opportunity to generate higher interest. Which money market funds would I recommend? Well, there is Sanlam, there is CIC. Those are my two favorite. There's many others. there's Britam, there is Nabo Capital, there is, what are the other ones? Old Mutual, ICIFA, there's many. But my two favorite are CIC and Sanlam. Why? Because they're big. Two, because they, it's difficult for them to, because of the clout they have. CIC has the largest market share for money market funds. They would not want to mess up. Sanlam, the same, it's a Pan-African organization and would not want to mess up. Old Mutual is great, just that their rates are a bit wanting. They've been one of the lower ones at 7.4. I don't know what the rate is currently, but they've been about 7.4%, which is not so great, but it's okay if you're looking for safety only. So yeah, but if you're going for Old Mutual, you might as well just invest in a TB for 1 year. But yeah, money market funds are great for emergency funds. Then the next question is bonds. And how do you know when the government issues bonds? So if you sign up for the account, the CDS account with Central Bank, and sign up for what they call the Treasury Mobile Direct, they actually send alerts each time there's a bond available. Secondly, they have a website, www.centralbank.go.ke, and they announce the available bonds available. The available bonds on that website. They also post it in the newspapers every month. There is, they advertise to say this is the bond available, but you can also get those details and the prospectuses on their website, which is very easy to navigate through. Okay, Wilson, the next one.
So here also Innocent asked, so you talked about money markets. The tips are really good, but I noticed it was not given on a relative basis. The money markets are good relative to what? And the flip side, what is their downside basically? Then lastly, he asked,
rephrase it for me, Wilson, if you understand the question.
So is it basically, how money markets they are good relative to what? What's the comparison? Comparison to maybe, is it, I think maybe savings accounts, or is it equity funds? Yeah, something like that. Yes.
Okay. So no, equity funds, they're not the same. Equity funds invest money in equity, stocks, shares. They're not the same. They are. We were talking about cash and cash-like assets. Remember, we started by separating the different asset classes, right? The asset class where money market funds fall are cash and cash-like assets. What are in cash and cash-like assets? You have savings accounts, current accounts, fixed deposit accounts, money market funds. Even a SACCO savings account would be within cash and cash-like assets. So the question then is, within cash and cash-like assets, what is giving me the best return with low risk and convenience? When I put those three together, money market funds stand out better.
Okay, so I think the last one you answered, but he just to mention it, he asked what money market fund in your research has ticked the most boxes for you from the list you gave us. I think
those two, Sanlam and CIC.
Yeah. So then there's Victor asks, how does one subscribe to Treasury Mobile Direct?
Okay, so maybe I can mention, if you need help with setting up any of these accounts, I'm happy to assist you. If you feel, oh my gosh, where do I start contacting these people? Just write to us. That's SEMAT money at no cost. We'll help you. I will help connect you with these guys. In terms of the Treasury Mobile Direct, you first have to open a CDS account with Central Bank. So if you go onto the Central Bank website, you will see what the requirements are for opening the account. You would then now go to Central Bank physically, a National Debt Desk office. There's somebody I saw post today, where someone was like, wow, that place where there's armed KDF guys standing outside. So it's a bit intimidating. They're on Haile Selassie Avenue. Bank Kuu ya Kenya, I'm sure you've all seen it. You just go up those stairs. No one's going to ask you any questions. They're very nice people. And there's a National Debt Desk that is right there for Treasury bills and Treasury bonds, and you open your account there. So you need a morning, because the process basically is they have a specimen card that they give you. You then have to take that card to your bank for your bank to verify your bank details, your signature, your picture. And then once they've done that, you go back to central bank and they sign. Incidentally, if you don't want to do all of that, we can open the account for you, but we would open a nominee account. And when I say we, I mean Faida Investment Bank. We can open the account for you, and then you can trade in bonds in that account if the whole process of accounts yourself is difficult. The only fee we charge is 2,000 bob for the admin work that is involved in being able to open that account. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Lastly here, I see from Kevin, I just asked, is there a different CDS account from the CBK and the capital markets? Yes.
Yes, there are two different accounts. The CDS account for central bank is specific to bonds and treasury bills. The CDS account for shares is specific to stocks, and you open that one with stockbrokers.
Thank you so much for that. I think finally for me, I think my question is that this has always been bothering me. So is a house an investment, or is it a worthwhile investment? I think look at it both to either financially, number one, and also like sort of mentally, like, no, I think for me, house gives you the sort of a peace of mind to do other things, but that's just my feeling. But is a house an investment? So
it can be an investment if you are getting the house to rent it out or to sell. It's an asset all the same, and it's an asset that goes within your safety net. It's a basic need. The only problem comes in when people want to buy their dream home and spend their entire careers paying their mortgage. And when they receive their pension, they use the pension to then pay off the balance of the mortgage, and then they have nothing else. That's what I have a problem with. So it can't be that the house is the only asset that you end up owning your entire working life. So a home and a house is very important, but buy a home or a house that then fits within your ability, not your dream home when you don't have other investment options available. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. I'd like to invite Noreen to give us the vote of thanks. Noreen.
Thanks, President Wilson. Thanks a lot, Rina, for this very insightful talk. I believe we've all learned a thing or two or three from basically the last 20 minutes that we spent, plus the question and answer session. And your passion for creating a nation that is financially sound is very apparent. I also like the fact that you started off with saying that sometimes when we find ourselves in a rut financially, doesn't mean that necessarily it's the end of the world. We should always just think towards how we could create ourselves or reinvent ourselves going forward. And from what I know is that a lot of people now are looking to finding avenues where they could invest and secure their future, especially in retirement. So this is very helpful. And I believe a lot of us will be taking a lot of the lessons you've given us going forward. So thanks again, and have a lovely evening.
Thank you, Noreen.
Thank you so much, Noreen, for that. And thank you, Rina, for joining us today. It's now time for essay.